Chapter 15. The winding country road stretched before them in the late evening light, the weak beams of Liam's car headlights barely adding any illumination. Liam's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, his eyes constantly darting between the road ahead and the rearview mirror, ever vigilant for signs of pursuit or danger. Beside him, Warren sat in tense silence, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the looming silhouette of Castle Macduff was slowly coming into view. The American's face was a study in conflicting emotions, hope warring with fear, determination with uncertainty. As they drew nearer to the castle, Liam eased his foot off the accelerator, allowing the car to slow to a crawl. His keen eyes scanned the roadside, searching for a suitable spot to pull over and observe their target undetected. "There," Liam muttered, more to himself than to Warren. He guided the car towards a small crop of trees that would provide some cover. Warren leaned forward in his seat, squinting through the windshield at the dark bulk of the castle. His breath caught as he noticed movement in the grounds surrounding the ancient structure. "Liam," Warren whispered, his voice tight with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Do you see that? There are people moving around outside the castle. Look, you can see their lights in the dusk." Liam's eyes narrowed as he followed Warren's gaze. Indeed, pinpricks of light could be seen moving about the castle grounds, like fireflies dancing in the night. But Liam knew better than to mistake these for anything so benign. I see them," Liam confirmed, his voice grim. Without warning, he pressed down on the accelerator, causing the car to lurch forward. Warren's head snapped around, his expression one of confusion and alarm. "What are you doing? Shouldn't we stop and investigate?" Liam shook his head, his jaw set in a determined line. "No use going there now, Warren. Those men you see, they're not friends of ours, I can tell you that much." "What do you mean?" Warren demanded, his frustration evident in the tightness of his voice. "Who are they?" Liam's eyes never left the road as he replied. "Hired muscle, most likely. The kind of men who ask no questions and show no mercy. They're searching for something in that castle, a relic of some kind. And I'd wager my last shilling that whoever hired them is the same person behind your wife's kidnapping." Warren's face paled in the dim light of the dashboard. "You mean, those men have guns? They're dangerous?" "As dangerous as they come," Liam confirmed grimly. "Which is why we're not sticking around to say hello." With a swift turn of the wheel, Liam executed a sharp U-turn, sending gravel flying as the car's tires struggled for purchase on the uneven road. Warren gripped the dashboard, his knuckles white as he stared out the rear window, watching Castle Macduff and their best lead fade into the distance. As the castle disappeared from view, shrouded once more in the misty Irish evening, Warren slumped back in his seat. The weight of their situation seemed to press down on him, etching new lines of worry on his already haggard face. "This is madness," Warren muttered, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "My wife is out there somewhere, possibly in the hands of those thugs, and we're driving away from our only lead." Liam's expression softened slightly as he glanced at his companion. "I understand your frustration, Warren, but charging in there half-cocked would only get us killed, and that won't do Thelma any good at all." Warren nodded reluctantly, acknowledging the truth in Liam's words. For a moment, silence reigned in the car, broken only by the steady hum of the engine and the crunch of gravel beneath the tires. Then, as if struck by a sudden thought, Warren straightened in his seat. "I need to make a phone call," he declared, his voice filled with a new sense of purpose. Liam raised an eyebrow, curious. "Oh, who do you need to call at this hour?" "Thelma's parents," Warren replied, his tone brooking no argument. "They need to know what's happening. I should have called them earlier, but with everything that's been going on." Liam studied Warren's face for a moment, noting the mix of determination and guilt in the other man's eyes. "Are you sure that's wise?" he asked cautiously. "We don't know who might be listening in on international calls, especially given the current situation." Warren's jaw set stubbornly. "I'm sure. They deserve to know, Liam. And maybe they might have some information that could help us. Thelma might have said something to them. something that didn't seem important at the time, but could be a clue now. Liam considered this for a moment, weighing the potential risks against the possible benefits. Finally, he nodded. "All right, Warren. If you're certain this is what you want to do, I won't stop you. But we'll do it from my office. It's secure, and we can be sure no one's listening in." Relief washed over Warren's face. "Thank you, Liam. I appreciate that. And thank you for everything you're doing to help find Thelma. I don't know what I'd do without your help." Liam's lips quirked in a small, wry smile. "Don't thank me yet, lad. We've still got a long road ahead of us. But we'll find her, Warren. I promise you that." As they drove back towards town, the lights of Lisdoonvarna slowly coming into view, Liam's mind raced with possibilities. The relic at Castle Macduff, the armed men searching for it, Thelma's kidnapping, all these pieces were connected somehow, he was sure of it. But how? And more importantly, how could they use this information to find Thelma and bring her home safely? One thing was certain, the game was far from over, and Liam Fitzpatrick was determined to see it through to the end, no matter the cost. The car lurched to a stop outside Liam's building in the heart of Lisdoonvarna. Warren blinked, his eyes adjusting to the darkness after the long drive from Castle Macduff. The street was quiet, save for the distant sounds of a pub down the road and the gentle patter of a light drizzle on the cobblestones. Liam killed the engine and turned to Warren. "Here we are, then." My humble abode and office rolled into one. Warren nodded, his mind still reeling from the events of the past few days. As he stepped out of the car, the cool Irish air hit him, carrying with it the scent of rain and peat smoke. It was a far cry from the Virginia summers he was accustomed to, and for a moment, a pang of homesickness washed over him. Liam led the way to the door, fumbling with a set of keys. "Mind the step," he warned as they entered. "It's a bit tricky in the dark." The office was just as Warren remembered it from the day before. It was small and cluttered, every available surface covered in stacks of papers, old newspapers, and what appeared to be case files. Warren's eyes were drawn to a large corkboard on one wall, covered in photographs and scraps of paper connected by a web of red string. It was the sort of thing he'd seen in detective novels, but never imagined existed in real life. Liam flicked on a lamp, casting a warm glow over the room. "It's not much," he said with a shrug, "but it serves its purpose." Warren barely heard him. His gaze had settled on an old rotary phone sitting on a desk in the corner. It seemed to loom larger than life, a tangible connection to the world he'd left behind, to Thelma's parents, who still didn't know. "The phone's there if you need it," Liam said, following Warren's gaze. "Take your time. I'll give you some privacy." Warren nodded mutely, his throat suddenly dry. As Liam retreated to another room, Warren approached the desk as if in a trance. His hand hovered over the receiver, trembling slightly. What would he say? How could he possibly explain what had happened? The events of the past 2 days seemed like a fever dream, too fantastical to be believed. And yet, here he was, in a strange office in Ireland, about to make the most difficult phone call of his life. Warren took a deep breath, steeling himself. Then, before he could lose his nerve, he picked up the receiver and began to dial. The familiar clicks of the rotary dial seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet office. There was a moment of silence, and then the line began to ring. Each trill sent a jolt of anxiety through Warren's body. He found himself gripping the edge of the desk with his free hand, his knuckles white with tension. 1 ring, 2, 3. With each unanswered call, Warren's dread grew. What if they weren't home? What if something had happened to them, too? His mind raced with possibilities, each more terrible than the last. Finally, after what seemed an eternity, there was a click on the line. A familiar voice, tinged with worry, came through the static of the international connection. "Hello." It was Kara, Thelma's mother. Warren's breath caught in his throat. For a moment, he couldn't speak, overwhelmed by the reality of the situation. "Hello?" Kara repeated, her tone growing more anxious. "Who's there?" Warren swallowed hard, forcing the words past the lump in his throat. "Kara? It's Warren." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. "Warren? Oh, thank God, we've been so worried. Where are you? Where's Thelma? The questions came rapid fire, each one a dagger to Warren's heart. He closed his eyes, gathering his strength. Kara, there's something I need to tell you. About Thelma. She's been taken. The words hung in the air, heavy and terrible. Warren heard a muffled sob on the other end of the line, and his grip on the receiver tightened. Warren, what's happened? Kara's voice was barely above a whisper. And so Warren began to speak. The words poured out of him in a torrent. A jumbled account of their arrival in Ireland, the mysterious disappearance at Castle Macduff, his arrest and subsequent release. He spoke of Liam, Fitzpatrick, and their frantic search for clues, of the shadowy figures they'd seen at the castle earlier that night. I swear to you, Kara, Warren finished, his voice hoarse from talking, I will find her. I'll bring Thelma home, no matter what it takes. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Warren held his breath, waiting for the recriminations, the anger he felt he deserved. But when Kara finally spoke, her voice was eerily calm. Warren, we know. Warren blinked. Sure, he must have misheard. You? No. Yes, Kara continued, her voice steady despite the undercurrent of fear. Rory received a phone call. Someone. They're demanding a ransom. They said they'd kill Thelma if we don't comply. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Warren gripped the edge of the desk even tighter, his mind reeling. Kara, please tell me what kind of ransom. How? When? It happened yesterday, Kara explained. Kara, Warren said, his voice urgent. I need to speak with Rory. Is he there? Can you put him on the line? Rory? He's on his way to Ireland now. He should be there soon, if he isn't already. Kara replied. Warren's legs gave out, and he collapsed into the chair behind the desk. Rory was coming here? The implications of this new information swirled in his mind, opening up a host of new questions and possibilities. What? Warren mumbled, more to himself than to Kara. There was a pause, and Warren could almost see Kara shaking her head. He's not here, Warren. Like I said, he's on his way to Ireland. John Walker and some of Rory's other friends went with him. They're going to pay the ransom. Warren's brow furrowed. Pay the ransom? But what are they asking for? How much? Kara's voice dropped to a near whisper. It's not money they want, Warren. It's some kind of relic, something that's been in Rory's family for generations. I don't know much about it, but Rory seemed terrified at the thought of giving it up. A relic. The word echoed in Warren's mind, connecting with something Liam had said earlier about the men at Castle Macduff searching for an artifact. Could it be the same thing? Kara. Warren said, his mind racing. This is important. Do you know anything else about this relic? Anything at all? I'm sorry, Warren, Kara replied, her voice thick with unshed tears. That's all I know. Rory didn't want to tell me too much. He said it was safer if I didn't know the details. Warren nodded, even though Kara couldn't see him. I understand. Listen, Kara, I promise I'll find Thelma. And I'll find Rory too. We'll sort this out somehow. Please be careful, Warren, Kara pleaded. And call if you hear anything. Anything at all. I will, Warren promised. Try to stay calm, Kara. I'll be in touch as soon as I know more. As he hung up the phone, Warren became aware of a presence behind him. He turned to see Liam standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Learn anything interesting? Liam asked, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. Warren stood, his mind still reeling from the conversation. Rory's on his way here. That's Thelma's father, he blurted out. With John Walker and some others. They're bringing some kind of relic, a ransom for Thelma. Liam's eyebrows shot up. A relic, you say? Now that is interesting. He reached for his hat, perched on a nearby coat rack. Come on then, we've no time to waste. Warren blinked, caught off guard by Liam's sudden urgency. Where are we going? Liam was already halfway out the door, his voice drifting back to Warren. Why? Back to Castle Macduff, of course. It seems our little mystery just got a whole lot deeper. Warren hurried after him, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Whatever lay ahead at Castle Macduff, he knew it would bring him one step closer to finding Thelma. And right now, that was all that mattered.